I'm going to get my screen shared here. So all of you should see approved tips to Zoom like a pro. Oop, I already skipped ahead. My apologies for that. Let me back up a step. So
Tom,
today I'm going to share with you some
Tom.
tips to make the most out of those Zoom meetings.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're seeing your the preview screen, so you might want to switch and start over.
All right. Not sure why. Give me a second. Sorry. On my screen, I'm only seeing the...
Can you click on the little podium down there at the bottom?
Yeah.
Bottom right.
Give me 1 second. My apologies.
You might have to stop sharing and start again.
Yep.
Did we lose him?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay, good.
But I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to share my desktop, and then I'm going to bring this over. How are we doing now?
It's just black.
Why don't you just go back to where you were before, Tom?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. How about now?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. My
You got
apologies. My apologies to everybody. So going to keep the film editor busy. We're going to get this right when we post it up, but I'll start again. Hello, everybody. I am Tom Ruich, and today I'm going to share with you some tips to make the most of those Zoom meetings so you stand out, and not in a bad way. We've all seen people who stand out in the Zoom meetings, but it's not pretty. Our approved series usually focuses just on apps, software recommendations, that sort of thing. But today I'm going to share with you not just some apps, but I'm going to share with you some general tips and also some hardware and some accessories to help you with Zoom. And some of these are going to apply to video in general. So let's go ahead and dive right into the process. Let me get going there. And the first thing we're going to talk about is backgrounds. And the first recommendation is do not use those system generated backgrounds that Zoom or those other programs can generate unless you have a green screen. When you use those system generated green screens those system generated backgrounds without a green screen, the edge of your body looks all fuzzy. When you move your arm to take a drink of water or to gesticulate, stuff on your body disappears. And frankly, you look foolish and you look as if you don't look human. And so if you want to use the background, go ahead and buy just an inexpensive green screen background. The one you see here is by Neewer, Neewer. You can buy it for under $20, 11 or 12 bucks. You can clip it to the wall, the curtain, whatever it is behind you, and you will be able to run that background much more effectively than if you just push the button and make it appear. Now, the next recommendation is regarding lighting. So many people get the lighting mixed up. And you're a human being, and the whole goal of this process and these tips is to make yourself look more human, not like a ghost, not like an ogre. And so many people are drenched in shadow, or the contrast is completely wrong. They're washed out in white. So many people on Zoom don't look human. And more often than not, the reason is that the lighting is to blame. So here are a few things that you can do to fix this. Number one is blackout curtains. If you look over my shoulder right here, you're going to see a blackout curtain, much like the one you see on my screen. Blackout curtains like this cost under 20 bucks. And you can just clip them onto the same curtain rod that you might have already on the window. I just have them Velcroed up there. Super easy for me to move them out of the way. And the importance of the blackout curtain is that I can completely control the light. If I had that window behind me without a blackout curtain, even if I had the shade down, the light would be the predominant thing. And the camera lens is always going to go to the light and adjust to the light. So, and the viewer's eye is going to go to the light. So often you see, I mean, just look in the gallery view when you have a chance later, you'll see people at this meeting where the light, the window behind them, the light, the lamp that's on behind them is sort of the dominant feature that stands out in the frame. Their face is not popping from the screen. And using a blackout curtain, especially if you have a window behind you, is a critical improvement that you can make. I have windows over here to my right, one a little bit behind me to my right. I have those windows open. The natural light that comes into the room is really helpful and really useful, but I also have blackout curtains on them. If the sunlight is too much, if the contrast is off, I can control how the lighting works because I have the blackout curtain. Now, next step is get lighting that you can control to supplement what you have in the room. To my right, I have a ring light like the one that you see on the screen. This ring light is made by Neewer, Neewer. This is a big ring light, $89. There are cheaper ring lights, but what I like about this one is that it's large. You have filters that you can put on it to change the color of the light. It's dimmable. And it has a great tripod that adjusts the height, allows me to, if I want to flip the light up toward the ceiling to splash light down, I can. Now, in my case, I just have it immediately, not immediately to my right, a little bit in front of me and sort of aiming here at my right cheek. Now, the other thing that I have is on my desktop to my left, I have one of these tabletop LEDs, much smaller. The light is roughly, 6 inches wide, something like that. It comes with a tripod, and that light is just off, 40 inches, 50 inches from me on the edge of my desk, again, at about head level. You don't want the light casting down upon you. That creates shadow, makes the bags under your eyes look bad. And if possible, if you can create enough light, little to the right, a little to the left, without having your overhead light on, that's better, especially for us men whose foreheads are getting a little bit bigger as the time passes, as the years pass. So those are the two lighting recommendations that I make, except one last lighting recommendation. Behind me, you see how I sort of have the blue light. What I've done is underneath the cabinets, I've installed lighting from Philips Hue. That's a brand. Smart light bulbs. I have these smart light bulbs all over my house. I can control them by voice and by my phone. And these are strip lights that I just have pasted to the underside of the cabinets. I know people who actually paste them to the edge of a picture frame, maybe next to a bookshelf. And it just creates a little bit of visual interest. That additional color creates a little bit of visual interest that just makes the view pop a little bit. The whole idea, if you look at me right now on the camera, my face, my head is in great focus, well lit. It is the thing people notice when they are looking at the camera and when they're looking at the screen. And it's done by having effective lighting. Now, next, let's talk about the camera. And here's the sad truth that, you know, just about everybody who uses a webcam, and I'm talking about the webcams that you plug into the USB port of your computer. I'm also talking about the webcams that might be built into your laptop. Those webcams have major, major limitations. The webcams that you attach to a computer, oftentimes they're too wide angle. Oftentimes they're too narrow view. It's very difficult to get the proper framing when you're sitting with a laptop directly in front of you and a little camera that's just built into it, or a camera that's stuck to the top of the laptop. They don't focus very well. They don't adjust to low light and light changes very, very well. So what I highly recommend is that you consider a camera upgrade. And there are a couple of options that you can consider. Number one is you can use your smartphone as a camera, your iPhone or your Android phone. And if you have a recent edition of the iPhone or a Samsung phone, phones like that, the cameras in those phones are outstanding, fantastic, better than just about any webcam. You need a little app installed on the phone to make it work as a webcam. And the app that I use is called Camo. You can get that at reincubate.com, or just search for the Camo app on the Apple, the App Store on your iPhone, or on the Android store. There is a free version of that app. You download it to your phone, and then when you plug your phone into your computer via the USB port, Zoom or any other application that requires or that calls a camera will recognize Camo, your phone, as a camera. So you can use your phone as the camera. Better option oftentimes than the camera built into your laptop. And you have the great advantage of being able to position it where you want, which is super, super important. Another option is to invest in a really nice camera. And the camera that I am staring into is the camera you now see on your screen. It is a Canon M50 Mark II, and it has a 22 millimeter lens on it. Now, the great advantage of a lensed camera is that you have what photographers call depth of field. For us lay people, we just call it background blur. And the background blur is really helpful for the thing I was talking about before. You in the foreground are in perfect focus. The background is a little bit blurry, and it helps you pop. The other thing that it helps is that it hides the clutter, it hides the mess, it hides the detail behind you. When I was using my phone as a camera for videos that I was producing, or for my own web conferencing and Zoom, I would have people comment about, "Oh, I saw that picture on your bookshelf," or I saw your the book on your shelf, Macrame for Dummies. And it's not that I'm embarrassed about my macrame habit, but I just don't need people to see my Macrame for Dummies book on the bookshelf. They should be looking at me and paying attention to me. So having a camera that can, first of all, produce beautiful images, adjust super well to low light, and give that background blur is often worth the investment. It is an investment. This camera, the Canon, is $599 plus a couple $100 for the lens. But the great advantage is it's an awesome carry-around camera for still photography, for going on vacation. So it's not just for video. It is for all sorts of reasons. Now, if you're going to use the phone or a camera, you need a tripod. I have my camera on a tabletop tripod, and it is at eye level. That is a very, very important thing. We're going to talk about eye level in a moment. So investing in a tripod, there are tons of them out there for under $50. In my case, I'm sitting at my desk, so having a tabletop tripod that puts the camera at eye level is the right idea. Depending on where you are, if you're sitting at a sofa, if you like to do this thing standing up, you might need a taller tripod. But ultimately, the idea is to have that lens perfectly at eye level. Now, if you're going to use a phone, you need to get a small mount that will connect to that tripod. Those are dime a dozen. You can find those for under $10. You can mount the phone, as you see in the photo, in portrait mode, which is what you want to do if you're shooting video or if you're going to be on Zoom. Now, I was talking before about eye contact. We've all been there where we're having a conversation with somebody via Zoom. A speaker is on Zoom and they're reading from their laptop, or they're looking over here at their screen when their camera is over here, and they're not making eye contact. Human connection, it's about eye contact. And in Zoom, it's especially important. We don't have all the advantages of being together in person. We need to create the advantages that we can control. And eye contact is one of those advantages. So one of the things that I do, the camera directly in front of me is right here at eye level. And then immediately below the camera, I have a small field monitor. It's really no different than a computer monitor that you would buy that sits on a desk. But what I do is I will feed all of our computers can, not all of our computers, but many of us have computers where we can have multiple monitors. And I will feed Zoom to the field monitor that I have attached to my tripod. So in my case, here is the lens, and just below it is the field monitor. And if I hadn't let you know that I'm looking at the field monitor, it's pretty darn close to good eye contact. And I actually am running my notes for this presentation on my field monitor. So I can glance down at my field monitor right now without it feeling like I've turned completely away and lost eye contact. So I'll sometimes feed the actual Zoom conversation, so the people I want to be talking to are right there on the monitor, or I'll feed my notes straight to the field monitor. $100 for the monitor, a little mount that can connect it to the leg of a tripod, 15, 16 bucks, something like that. Also, laptops. I noticed, again, go to the gallery. You'll see those people who you can tell who they are when you're in a Zoom call. They're sitting with a laptop. The laptop, their chair is up here, their head's up here, their laptop is down here, and they are looking downward. And in order for the camera to catch their face, they'll often sort of open the lid of their laptop in such a way that you're looking up at their chin, you're looking up at their face, the camera is catching the ceiling and the light, and it's just kind of a mess. For under 20 bucks, you can buy a simple laptop riser that lifts the screen so that the camera at the top, or the camera that you've attached, is closer to eye level. If you're using a separate camera, you can set that riser so that the top of the view that you have, the people in the gallery in Zoom, are very close to the lens of that camera. So you can see both, keep your eye on the lens, but also see people without looking down at the laptop. And then finally, for eye contact, if you are presenting, there are a number of options to use teleprompter apps. Now, I am working off of notes, not a full-on teleprompter, but as I noted, I have my notes here on this monitor that I can look at very quickly without being too conspicuous about dropping my eye contact from the lens, and my eye contact is close. But there are teleprompter apps. The one that you see pictured on the screen is called Teleprompter Premium, where you can literally overlay notes that will auto-scroll on top of whatever app you're using, Zoom or a different meeting app. And so if you're presenting, you could run the teleprompter app on top of your iPad, on top of a Android tablet. There are other teleprompter apps that work on a desktop computer, like a Mac or a PC. The video teleprompter app is a great little app for iPhone. I don't believe it's available for Android. What's cool about that app is that it will run the camera. So you can use your iPhone to video you at the same time that the teleprompter messaging script is rolling across your screen. So you're looking straight at your phone. The camera in the phone is catching you, and your eye is right on the screen with the teleprompter. There's also one called Nano Teleprompter, which is another good option, especially I think only for Android. So I recommend a teleprompter app if you're presenting and you really feel that you need to read from the screen. Too often we see people when they're presenting whose head is down or whose head is over here, reading their notes or their script and not making that eye contact. Finally, last recommendation. Record your presentations. There are so many good reasons to record the presentations. You can repurpose the content, turn it into social media posts. You can, if it's a Zoom meeting with clients, you have notes that you can transcribe. You can return to it later. Things don't slip through the cracks. Really valuable and important to do. So a couple of things in your settings in Zoom. Go to recording and focus on a few really important ideas. Number one, you want to make sure that you record not just the gallery view, but the speaker view. That way you'll get a separate recording where everybody is on the screen, and then a recording of you and you alone when you're speaking. So you can clip that out and turn that into videos that you can post onto social. Also check the box to create an audio only recording. And finally, know how to grant permission and how to ask for permission to allow the guest to record. So for example, I could say to Will right now, if he was not recording this meeting, hey, Will, can you grant me permission to record? And what he would do is click on my name in the guest list and go to a setting that says, yes, I could record it. And then I would have within my Zoom settings the ability to say, I want to make a recording of this meeting. Oftentimes, if you are the invited guest to the meeting, you might want to record it for the very same reasons I just described. Be able to tell the host of the meeting how the host can allow you to do that. And then finally, after you've recorded the meeting, transcribe it. There are a couple of great services out there. One is called Otter AI. That's machine transcription, artificial intelligence. Take that audio file that you have and upload it to Otter AI, and within minutes, it has made a great transcription of the presentation that you can download as a Word file. You can read while you listen so that you can correct it. I then have a virtual assistant make a perfect correction of it. And it costs just $100 per year for 6,000 hours a month. Unbelievable deal. The other alternative is one called Rev. Rev uses human beings to transcribe your recording. So if you need that transcription to be perfect the first time, if you don't want to turn it over to a virtual assistant, you can pay Rev $1.25 a minute. But think about that. 2 hours of recording at $1.25 a minute is the same cost that you pay for Otter for an entire year. So I prefer to use Otter and then have the virtual assistant correct the thing. So I know I've plowed through a lot very quickly, and I'm probably over my time a little bit, but I would be happy to take questions and either now or later about some of these tips to help you shine and stand out on Zoom.